long day, bro. Long day, man. Work, making sure that everything is taken care of on like the creative side. I had to run a couple of errands, but otherwise, man, I'm feeling hopeful for tomorrow to get some rest.
Get some rest.
Yes.
Get some rest. I feel you on that.
Yeah, man. So, for people that haven't seen this, like, why do you think we chose to do this? Like, what made you want to do this?
Man, I think me as a father and kind of growing and experiencing things,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like a lot of things that I experienced on the first hand, had I got not advice but perspective, it may have grounded my decisions differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I just felt like it was time for someone somewhere to put something together and talk specifically to what it means to be a girl dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And not just the cute stuff, not just the, you got a pretty daughter and you raising her, but like the nitty gritty, growing up, attitudes, reinforcement, those type of things, because that's the realness of it, right? That's stuff that you and I can relate to, right?
For sure.
What about you? How you feel about it?
I think the main thing that made me want to do this is the opportunity to finally put my voice out there and not be silent about the things that I'm doing. As a father, I think we take for granted the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, especially like the pride that we take in being parents and a good hooper or a fashion person or a person of character or honor or something like that. Like, those are things that we are prideful for, but like we don't always necessarily communicate about being a father, because maybe if we didn't have a good father, or we don't feel like we're supposed to get a pat on the back for doing what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? So this is like not just me giving myself a pat on the back, but me giving the opportunities for dads around the world, people that are tuning in, people that we know, yourself, like for me to give you a pat on your back and say, hey, look, bro, fatherhood is a real thing. And then being a girl dad is a very important thing, because, the women that we're raising are going to hopefully at some point in time have children, have a significant other, raise their children. And I want to be a point of reference that instilled in her or him, if I have a son, you know what I'm saying, like what the importance is of having, a great father figure in the household, and then being surrounded by other great fathers. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, you are the epitome of, you know what I'm saying, like a girl dad or a good father. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just something that I've seen you like parade as like a propaganda. It's something that is internally there. You know what I'm saying? So my biggest thing is like, what would you say is like some intentions of being a girl dad?
Man, I think just understanding the position you have as being responsible for nurturing something that you created and kind of molding this human being into something bigger, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I always say, like, I'm not raising my daughter to be a cute, adorable little girl. I'm raising her to be a strong, resilient black woman, mm-hmm. right? So with that, what I said, it comes a lot of responsibility. So I just think I take a lot of intention and effort into my responsibility, mm-hmm. right? I don't think it should be taken for granted. I think it should be taken very seriously. And I think, building a community like that, right? Like, even having the conversations that we have all the time and understanding how you raise your daughter and understanding how you were raised, right, and how you mold and merge those things together, I think it's important that we not only look at, how we raise our kids, but we also take a real concerted effort in looking at the way that we were raised, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so when you go back and you look at how you were raised and you think of things that were impactful in a positive way, and you think about things that caused trauma, mm-hmm. or stuff that was considered traumatic to you and how you responded to that in your later years, right? Because, as a kid, you're innocent. Like, mm-hmm. you literally are being molded. You know, you're a dad. If you tell your daughter not to do something, right, enough times, then as she kind of matriculates through life, she gonna realize, yo, that's probably not the right thing for me to do.
Right.
But if you told her the opposite, right, and the world told her what you taught her was incorrect, it
raises questions.
Yeah. So I mean, just overall, just the responsibility of it, I just felt like it's very important for us to take intention, and it takes a village, which is why I feel like it's important for us to do this, because, you know, it's a community of us out here going through the same type of things, right? And if we don't have those honest discussions, we don't have a perspective, you know. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I just felt like it was important for us to be out there on the front lines and inspire other people to really have those real conversations.
No, I agree.
You know,
I agree. You asked me how I was doing, and I want to know. I want to know a little bit more about how you doing, man. You asked me. I'm saying, like, a mental check-in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's super important for us. Like, I think one of the main things that we forget to do with each other is be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Like, and be open about where we are mentally, because it's so important that we not shy away from those opportunities to create intimacy between our brothers. We always are talking about to create intimacy between a woman, or, you know what I'm saying, oh, this girl, this, that, and the third, woo, off the bam. And my thing is like, intimacy isn't about sexuality or something physical. It's about the opportunity to connect deeper with the person that you care about. You know what I'm saying? And so me caring about you, me caring about my other brothers and sisters that are out there in the world, I really want to understand how important it is. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody to understand how important it is to not just say, you know, I'm good, or I'm chilling, or I had a good day, when you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot be good. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I just want to, you know what I'm saying, make sure I check in with you.
Man, I appreciate that too. That's real. We don't talk about that enough. But specifically for me, man, I've always had this kind of luring thing where I always felt like I had to be responsible and make wise decisions now for the future, right? And so, you know, you don't think about it when you're going through life and you're just kind of churning, trying to get stuff done. But when you sit back and reflect on it, I think I've always had a lot on my plate, but it was my own self-doing, because I felt like I had to get certain things done. And when you ask me that question, I think about, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And most of the time, we say it just is. It is what it is, right? Right? But when you sit back and think about it, I don't know if it's a bad thing, but the fact that we talking about it, now I could be more cognizant of, you know, while I'm trying to do this and that, how do I feel about it? You know, but right now I'm good, man. I feel very hopeful. You know, I'm excited about the future. I'm pretty optimistic about things, because I feel like, although we don't have control over everything, I feel like we have a hand in our lives. Like, we have decisions to go left or right, and those decisions impact the future. For sure. So, I mean, I feel good, bro. Good. I feel super solid, man.
I'm glad to hear that, bro.
Yeah,
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I encountered today was, you know, working in the retail industry, you always are seeing people at their most vulnerable in a few different ways. So, like, when a guy walks into a store that I'm at, or I walk into a store that has a lot of people in it, I tend to people watch. And so while I'm watching for people's style, and I'm watching for people's, you know, this garment that they be wearing, like you got on, you know what I'm saying, maybe like a helmet lang or something like that, or a really cool beanie, or you have on some great loafers or something like that. Like, I'm also looking and seeing, like, okay, well, what is somebody's intent behind what they're wearing? Like, there's a clear intent if you see a girl walking down the street and she only has on a G-string and some pasties, you know what I'm saying? But there's also a different intent. Like, and it may not be an overt intent, it may be a passive intent, right? So style is to me is like, the person's nonverbal communication. You know what I'm saying? They're we talk about how nonverbal communication is the majority of communication, right? It's over 70-80% of what people are gathering when they're talking to you.
Right.
So for me,
some consciously, some unconsciously.
So regardless if it's conscious or unconscious, like what you have on is the display of who you are, what you're feeling, what your mood is, whatever.
That's true.
And so for me, like today, man, I saw, some people kind of come alive, and one of the biggest things that I've always loved is like when somebody understands their proportions. You know what I'm saying? Like understanding like how tall you are, how long your legs are, how short your torso is, or whatever, you may have going on with your body that you may be trying to hide or what you may be trying to show off. Like understanding those proportions will help you like really put together an amazing outfit or have a dud. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, when I'm thinking about my daughter, I'm like, okay, E, what do you want to wear today? You know what I'm saying? And she'll go in, I want to pick out my princess. But then like she may pick out a princess dress and then throw on some boots and it look fire. And then everybody be like, how'd she put that together? She put that together herself.
That's
and I'm like,
she
was feeling that way.
Right,
so for me, like, you know what I'm saying, being in this industry of fashion and art or whatever it may be, expression is everything. So when I'm empowering my daughter to do something to, express herself, or I'm giving her the tools to be able to express herself clearly, like it makes me so happy, bro. Like it makes me so happy, but like it crushes my heart also, like when she has to go to school and then she has to put on her uniform and she's like crying to me every morning that she don't want to do that. She want to express herself. She's been empowered to express herself. She has that part of her day, you know what I'm saying? And for me, that's not something I want to take away from her. So I've been struggling, you know what I'm saying? Me and my partner, we've been struggling, like trying to figure out how to continue to communicate that to her on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? And I think that actually ties back to what we were talking about earlier of like intentional why to do this, because those situations happen all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so for me,
dang, that's a good point.
It's like, how do we make sure that in us as fathers, how do we always bring it back to the intent? How do we always bring it back to the what we are to our children, what we are to our friends, what we are to the people around us. Like to my daughter, I need to let her know, like as a father, I'm not just the father to her. I'm a partner to my partner. Like I'm a significant other to her.
Right.
I'm a friend to you. I'm a brother to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a cousin to my cousins. I'm a son to my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm so many other things. But the thing that we don't always make sure of is that in fatherhood, how are we making sure that we're not just showing one vantage point? How are we making sure that we're not just showing I'm the authority in your life and that's it? That's all I want you to focus on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No, we're peers. We're here. Like you're a person. I'm a person.
Right.
You're a daughter, but you're also a friend. You may be a significant other at some point in time in your life. You're a cousin. You know what I'm saying? Like 100%. You're an individual outside of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, those are just some things where, my mind were just kind of wandering through like my day, and I just kind of like was realizing like everything kind of ties into one another. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's a good point. One thing that you and your wife taught me when it comes to, those small decisions that they make, you are helping them have the freedom to be creative in their own right, number one, but you also give them the freedom to understand the consequences of their decisions, right? So like, even when it come down to what you wear, your attire, I want to ask you that. So how do you feel about, people valuing or devaluing people based on the way that they dress or the way that they look? I always tell you this. You definitely the flyest guy I know, man. Like the way you put on, you understand your proportions.
I appreciate that, bro.
But it's not coming from like a consumerism type of perspective or standpoint. You value the things that you put on.
Yeah.
And they also tell a story or however you feel. Explain how you got to that point, number one, and how you decided to instill that in your daughter.
I think it's a matter of like I said, I think it's understanding that this is what people see. And perception is reality for people. Mm-hmm. So I'm guilty by association mm-hmm. with whatever it is that I associate my person with, whatever you associate yourself with, your person with. When people see me, they don't see me and who I am. They see what they see. And if I can curate what they see clear enough, then they can see me very, very quickly. You know what I'm saying?
But do you give a damn about them caring?
Of course I do.
You do. Why?
Of course I do.
Why?
I'm a people pleaser. At the core of who I am, I'm a people pleaser. And I understand that. And the reason why I know I'm a people pleaser is because I'm in a service industry. So I have to satisfy people's interests. And I have to create trust through nonverbal communication. So
your livelihood
is based on taking care of other people and make sure that they're happy. My day-to-day is based on making people happy. My mm-hmm. wife, my daughter, my homies, making sure that everybody around me is good. I'm built that way. I'm a tree.
Do you compromise how you feel to make other people happy?
I have. Do
you feel like that's the right thing?
It's not healthy at all.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy at all. Yeah. But I recognize the fact, and I know how to cycle through it fast enough. I've shortened the distance between the frustration and the frailties and the you know what I'm saying, like, and the feeling good and the highs. I've shortened the distance between those frustrations and the highs. I'm kind of unified in that sense. So I'm proud of that. Now, being a people pleaser is no different from somebody saying that they're vain. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are very real things that people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And regardless of if we want to admit or not admit these things, they exist. And everybody's at different points in times in their journey. And so what I can do is create this through line of my life, the things that I associate myself with, the people that I associate myself with, and the way that I carry myself and present myself to the world. I can give extreme clarity to that. The reason why most people are misunderstood is because they're miscommunicating. It's hard to misunderstand somebody that gives you very transparent intention and honesty through how they carry themselves and how they go throughout their day. And so for me, when I look at everything that I put on in the morning, when I look at the pieces that I own, mm-hmm. when I'm buying things, I'm always probing and trying to get to the root of what that thing is and how it can associate to a truth, a principle, a pillar of intention in my life. Luxury appeals to a lot of those things, and it creates aspiration. It creates daydreaming. It creates fantasy. It creates love. It creates all of this powerful energy, and that's why luxury is so sought after. That's why it's the ultimate goal. Like, the ultimate goal isn't to buy a Honda. The ultimate goal is to buy a Lamborghini or a Bugatti or a Bentley.
For some people.
For some people.
Yeah.
But the mass majority that we're talking about isn't that few percent that we're talking about that understands that don't mean nothing. Those are the enlightened people of the world that realize, are the people that are woke or awake and walking around life living in the very present moment.
Yeah.
The goal is to get everybody to that place. And the intention is to, every day that I wake up, that my daughter sees me, that she sees and she feels intention. Mm-hmm. And what I look at when I'm looking at a garment, when I'm looking at a car, when I'm looking at a crib, is intention. When you walk into it, when you walk into our place, what do you feel? When you're next to me and you are in my presence, do you smell something? Do you feel something? Do you get an energy? Do you, like, these are things that energetically are symbiotic to who I am as a person, but these are also things that I'm imparting to my daughter on a day-to-day basis. Right. Because these are little things that are probing around in her psyche every single day. You know what I'm saying? So as a 2, 3, 4-year-old kid being around that all the time, you don't have anything but the opportunity to become who you want to become. And I'm gonna get out the way of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get out the way of that, because if I'm in the way of her becoming the person that she wants to become, then she's gonna repel and rebel against me as a father. And as a father, I wouldn't know what to do with myself if my daughter shunned me as a man, as a father, as a point of reference to God through her life. You know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things that I loved about some of the like campaigning type of things that you were putting out later last year, was like, you know what I'm saying, like you were being very intentional about like how you're going about teaching your daughter, or how you're going about setting atmospheres and place and space for your daughter, because, you know, by trade, you know what I'm saying, like you numbers, financial, like you get into these nitty gritties, you know what I'm saying? And so like for me, I'm curious to know, like, how do you find yourself, you know, imparting those truths through parenting, or how do you find yourself as the occupation, like it being accounting, or it being like numbers, or it being financial things? Like, how do you find yourself like navigating through that world? But then like when your daughter is coming to you with a math question, is that like connecting the dot, or is that like how, I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you find synergy between work, between life, between parenting, like, or do you make them all make sense, or do you keep them kind of compartmentalized, or like what?
Man, I think who you are is who you are, right? So I went into finance and as a career. That's what I do for a living, and it was always because I was good with numbers. Like my pops loves to tell this story about when I was younger, probably my daughter's age, like 8, 9 years old. Might have been before that. You know, he would give me problems and stuff, and if I didn't get it right, then I would be stuck on the problem until I got it right. And then my brother, who I believe is a lot more creative than I am and a lot more artistic than I am, you know, he would, if he didn't get it right, he'll move on to the next problem. And that was his next experiment. And that was his next experiment. So I think that in me was very analytical. And I wanted to understand, there's a right or wrong answer, so I'm going to find that right answer. And why did I get it wrong? Let me find out why it's wrong. And so I kind of see some of the same things in my daughter.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what I learned from that is, regardless of our upbringing, the things we've experienced, you know, they have chromosomes from us, right? So, you know, you always hear stories about dads who weren't in the kid's life, and the moms always say, man, you do that just like your daddy. And they trying to figure out, how the hell do I do this like my dad? My dad was never around me. It's because what's in him is what's in you.
It's gonna be,
It's in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of that is gonna show up. So you know, I had to be real with myself, and I said, you know what, I'm pretty analytical. My daughter's probably has a piece, maybe she don't have everything that I have in me, because she also had the other chromosomes from her mother, but she probably has a piece of this in me, so in her, so I'm not gonna shy away from it. I'm gonna give her me. So whenever it pop up, whether it's math problems or whatever in life, I'm just being intentional about being myself, right? So that's kind of what it looks like. And that's a good point, because on the style side of things, you know, being very creative and cognizant of energies, you know, you want to impart this on your daughter, you know, the ambiance of a place, or if it smell good, if it feel good, that's a part of you. So I think unconsciously you probably impart that on her, and consciously you probably impart that on her. For me, I definitely do those things, but something like style or fashion or anything like that, in my world, that could be considered like a frivolous cost, right? Like when you think about long-term things, and like, you know, our people, we've been oppressed for so long, we playing catch up. So it's like, you know, I would say we have $1 trillion spending power, black people. So we get a lot of flack for spending money, what they say is frivolous money, on material things. So I've had a time battling between like long-term goals when it comes to finances and then partnering on my daughter, and then having to acquiesce or comply with her wanting this little princess dress, this, or she go to the store and Is
that a frustration? Like, is it a frustration that you feel like you have to like always be keeping her in the future, or keeping her building to a point financially, or like being fiscally responsible enough to monitor and manage those things?
It's not frustrating. I think I consider it a teachable moment. So I ask the questions. Why do you want this? Do you need this? The last thing I bought you, you played with it for 10 minutes and then you put it down. I never heard it from it again. The last game I bought you, you don't really play. So do you actually need this, or you want this because it's in the moment? And I don't shy away from things. I let my daughter know this is how much this costs. This is how much this costs. When we look at people in jobs, I explain to her, okay, this is what this person does, whether she's a cashier or the president of the United States. Like, this is what they did, and this is what they make. This is what he did. This is what he or she makes. And not to discourage her and make her believe things should be based on money, but I also want to put things into perspective.
Because there is a class system. There is levels to financial literacy, financial fluidity. Like, what your liquid may not be your total value, but you may have things tied up in stocks. You may have things tied up in. So, like, is that something that you're teaching her, or is it just something that, like, she's maybe not quite there yet for that to be imparted, but like you're helping her understand value versus like being frivolous or being like passive about like what something costs because she just wants it, so she's not thinking about that aspect. You're kind of bringing that to mind every time she's wanting something.
I think I'm doing the value thing. I'm having her understand needs versus wants first.
Yeah.
Right, because that's a layman term. She can understand that at a certain level at 9 years old.
Right. She
can't understand what you mean putting away money for this and what you talking about assets
Daddy,
and liabilities.
I want this dog.
Yeah,
Daddy, I'm not.
I'm not.
What do you mean? I gotta be thinking about saving?
Right.
Save for what?
Yeah, she's still a kid. She's still a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And growing up, I had no idea how much stuff costs. Because my mom, she did everything in her power to make sure I never felt like we were without.
Okay. And
I think that's a handicap. And a lot of people may not agree with me.
It's a handicap that she felt like she wanted to make sure that y'all didn't go without, or it's a handicap not helping you understand the value in what the things were that y'all were being afforded?
Both. Because I think it's a handicap for her, because if she breaking her neck to work, so many hours to get us this, that, and the third, so we will believe that we have it just as much as anybody else has it, when we really don't, then that's making me have a false belief system on, what I can attain and what it takes to attain that, right? So, if one day, we going for certain things. It's
like kind of, cause I'm trying to draw a comparison. Cause so would you say it's kind of like a 3-year-old saying that they can dunk? Like they can't. There's nothing in them that can dunk because they can't get to a 10-foot goal and put it in there. Not at 3. Yeah. So what I'm saying is like me saying, like you hearing her say, like her giving you the opportunity to not have to worry about this, or giving you almost quote unquote like a false hope in like what isn't really there. She's kind of shielding you from, but like presenting it though as it is. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say that it's a false hope. I would say it's a determination. I would say that I wouldn't look at it as a false hope, because I mean if anything, like I want my child to feel like she can accomplish and attain whatever it is, and I want to give her everything that she can, like that's within reason. You know what I'm saying?
Within reason is the key.
I'm not going to overextend ourselves to make something happen.
Right.
And so do you feel like that was something that your mom was doing? Or do you, because that's why I would say that there's a root. That's what would be the root.
Yeah, I think at times, I think, you play AAU basketball and you got a tournament in Orlando, Florida, and the cost per player is, I don't know, $1,500 or something. Mm-hmm. And man, if I don't go, then it's like I did all of this for nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so my mom probably did her best to sacrifice to make sure I got
that in the third, yeah.
See, but that though, I think that is an okay sacrifice, as long as we're not homeless when we get back from Orlando.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
But if I want some new J's, some new Jordans or something,
and she's
and my partners have them, you know what I'm saying,
yeah.
and she want to get that for that, and the lights might not be on, then no, you know what I mean? So I think you have to draw a line on that, and I think that's what I'm trying to do. Like, you have to understand that they're still a kid, right? But you have to understand your long-term goals, and you shouldn't financially handicap yourself now because you need to worry about tomorrow now. I think you live in the now for sure, but you plan for tomorrow.
Okay.
So you don't make financially handicapped decisions now.
Yeah.
If the future is gonna mess you up. So
I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect that.
That's how I look at that.
So what would you say are some resources that you've utilized for like managing that knowledge or acquiring that knowledge?
Yeah.
I think that is a great place for what I'm saying, for us to wrap on today, because I think that always giving resources and always allowing people to have something at least to take away in our time together is going to be super, super important. You know what I'm saying? And so like what I would also say is like, a couple of things that are outstanding to me that, that I think that every father should definitely have, or maybe take away from this opportunity is just, knowing how to merge not just your current intention, but maybe even like your past pains or hurts or traumas or observations of what your childhood was, and finding balance and not overcompensating for one or the other. You know what I'm saying? Because if you feel like mama gave you false hope, don't give your daughter too much reality to where she doesn't feel hopeful about something. You know what I'm saying? Or not feeling like you're exasperating, yourself to try to be so intentional in every moment that sometimes there's moments that just require fun and enjoyment and being relaxed. Because I think that sometimes in our quest to become great fathers, and our quest to be great black fathers, and this energy that sometimes we can have of being maybe behind and maybe playing catch up, that we put a serious level of gravity on everything that we do for our little ones, and sometimes that can end up having them grow up too fast. Like when we we've kind of heard that that she grown and she only 12 or she 11, but it's probably because she's in an environment, or he's in an environment where they're forcing her to grow up fast instead of being a child. And so now they're
robbing
moving
them of their innocence.
They're robbing. And so what I want to make sure that we always do is let a child be a child, and we'll be the adult, and let's take care of that stuff before we have to like make them be so intentional about taking care of it for themselves. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that those are just some things that were rolling around in my head as you was talking, because I love everything that you're saying, and obviously like we have our different vantage points, but I think that it's always important for us to center on making sure that we not just love our children or love our friends, but we empower them too, and we let them know that it's okay to just be at times and enjoy that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
what, as we wrap up, what is some fatherhood advice where you at right now, based on your experiences and your perspective, you would give to somebody? And I'll give my little 2 cents too.
It's know when to be what, you know what I'm saying? Like know when it's required for you to teach a lesson, know when it's a great opportunity for you to just fall back and enjoy. Like you gotta have that wisdom of discernment in situations to be able to know that every situation doesn't require the extreme level of intelligence that most of us are walking around with. we don't have to intellectualize every situation. I don't have to give a reason why I like a Snickers bar. I can just like it. I don't have to say it's because the way that they did the nougat and the chocolate and they brought the peanut and I don't have to go there. I could just say I enjoy it. Right. And we have to be able to take that energy into how we relate to our children.
That's solid. That's solid. On my end, I would say to learn your child, like be a student of your child, right? Like God, I always say this, and which is why I don't believe in like traditional gender roles. I believe that God gave all of us unique skill sets, and it's not gender specific, right? Mm-hmm. So you're a man in this world, you're a woman in this world. God has ordained you a LeBron James, Michael Jordan type talent. Mm-hmm. It may not look like basketball, but it look like something else, yeah. Right? And so I always say, what's in you, whether you live up to that potential or not, a lot of it has to do with your upbringing. Yeah. And what your parents, you know, gave you to bring this out, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try. My mom, she did baseball, basketball, football, and whatever I like the most, that's what we focus on. Yeah, yeah. And then, oh, you like writing? If you're writing, something else. Oh, you like writing? We're gonna do writing. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. And so that's what I mean by learning your child. You know, you have this broad range of things, and I think it's our responsibility as parents to truly show them and expose them to as much as we can mm-hmm. from our knowledge base. Yeah. And then from there, allow them to make those decisions. Love it. And whatever sticks, sticks. So love it. That's what I got.
I love it, bro.
For sure, love.
All right, bro.